we're live. Better put the cameras on, you know. Good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome to Natasha Makes. Only this week, Natasha has not made. For those of you who've not met me before, my name is Gemma Pinfield Thomas, affectionately known to the team as PT. I'm Natasha's right-hand woman. I got called a shenanigator the other day. And we are here at Natasha Makes every Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday, except today's a Friday. And what's all that about? Well, once a month, on the last Friday of the month, although it seems too early to be the last Friday of the month, we have what we call Guest Designer Takeover. And today's guest designer, well, she's quilting royalty is what she is. Don't laugh, you'll give yourself away. She's an award-winning author, fabric designer and TV demonstrator. She has done thousands of hours of TV, I'm going to say, designed many, many, many beautiful quilts, is a celebrated author. Her book, I can't even say the name of the book because your name's in the title, would give you away, wouldn't it? But it was highly commended in the 2020 British Sewing Awards and, well, she's just rather fabulous, to be perfectly honest. We have Sarah Payne with us today. You can say hi.
Hello!
Oh, there we go, the voice is there and the person will be in front of you soon. But this week, Natasha's not here. Sarah's with us today, but Natasha is not here. And where is she? Well, she's on holiday. That thing she never ever does. So thank you to those of you who've been with us all week. We've had a really busy week, Sarah. Have you caught some of the shows?
I have.
I know you've been busy filming as well, haven't you? So,
Yes.
But yeah, it's been a crazy week. A bit of a baptism of fire, 4 shows in a week, and holding the fort. But she's off with her children and her horses, having a fabulous horsey holiday. So it's been lovely. For those of you who missed this week, we had Christmas goodies on Monday. Myself and SJ were showing you the very beautiful felt kits, which have been phenomenally popular. They sold out at a rate of knots, and then we got some more. If you're seeing zero stock of any of them on our website, feel free to email us at info@natashamakes.com and we will see if we can get some more for you. We also looked at Eco Christmas Makes. We talked about our Christmas wreath as well, because we do a wreath making show at the end of November. So that happened too, and just beautiful fabrics, of course. Tuesday we had more beautiful fabrics. The Christopher Wilson Tate range has just come out and it's absolutely stunning, his latest collection. We did tissue boxes and I did a bit of sewing on the camera.
You were brilliant.
That thing I said I wasn't going to do.
You
I
were
did
very
it.
good.
Yeah, well, you know, I didn't break the machine and I made an actual thing, which is what I said to Tash when she messaged to say, how did it go? Didn't break anything, I didn't swear, and I made a thing that actually did the thing. So, you know, why not? Wednesday we had Jane, and actual proper sewing came back to us with her lovely quilt. And of course, today we have Sarah, who is wonderful. Just before I go and sit in the corner and let Sarah take over, I'm going to quickly say hello to whoever is on. And also, I'm going to remind you that we have, rather fabulously, let's turn the sound off before I open this. Can you imagine an echo of myself in the background? We have our Friday newsletter that goes out on a Friday. And for those of you who aren't signed up to the newsletters, you've missed out on some crazy, crazy deals this week. There's a timetable for those of you that do get the newsletter to tell you which days, which products are going live. So check that out. These are bonkers deals because Tash is on holiday and she gave us carte blanche. So we've done some sort of, you know, 24-hour only specials. Those prices will be for that particular day and then they'll get whipped away really quick because we can't hold them. They're just silly prices. She might reconsider going on holiday when she sees these shenanigans we've got up to this week. But let's see who we've got, shall we? Lots of people, lots and lots of good mornings here. Susan, a day off so she can watch. What a good day to choose. Rona loves the look of this quilt. It's a beauty, isn't it? I'll let Sarah tell you all about it. That's her thing. Claire, I think Claire Angelina's been on every day. Good morning, ladies. I'm tidying my sewing corner. Oh, I need to tidy.
What is that? What is that you speak of?
I am an incredibly organised, tidy person, but my sewing room is a tip. It literally looks like someone came in to burgle it, decided that there was nothing worth nicking or they couldn't find anything worth nicking, and just sort of fly tipped some more in there.
Once you tidy up, you can never find anything.
See, I will. I'm really methodical, but it's the actual process of tidying. I think the reality is I know there's not enough space for everything. So to get it tidy, I'd have to get rid. And that's the thing I don't want to do. So what I really need is about 2 months off to just constantly make stuff to reduce the stash, and then it could go away tidily. Or I just need a bigger room or the entire house. One of those things. Donna and Colette and Laverne. Hi, Sarah. I'm looking forward to being inspired again. Love it. Oh, Auntie Lizzie Crangle's on again. She's been here every day as well. We do appreciate it. Amanda says, morning, Sarah and Gemma. Anne, Yvonne, Elizabeth. Another Elizabeth. Oh, you've been brilliant all week, Gemma. It's very nice of you. I'm not quite sure brilliant qualifies it, but we've managed. We've managed, and so far, it's been okay. So, oh, I normally get the newsletter, but I've not received it today, says Lisa. Lisa, I'm going to let SJ just mention that she might be sending it out at a different time this morning. I might have jumped the gun. I don't do the newsletters. That's SJ's thing. She is our marketing queen. So we do have a whole team looking after you today, as well as me and Sarah being here. I'll be over in the corner answering some questions in the comments. SJ's doing the same. Lucy is on the info @ email address as well. And lovely Josh, our tech wizard and creative master, is looking after the YouTubers. So we're all here. We're looking after you today. Morning from a very unsunny Stockport, says Kath. So happy Sarah is on to Brighton, my rare free Friday morning. What a lovely way to spend a free Friday morning. And that's the thing, isn't it? You're all here to see lovely Sarah. So I am going to, without further ado, skedaddle over into the corner where I normally belong. And I'm going to leave you in the very capable hands of the extremely talented queen in her industry, Sarah Payne, everybody.
Good morning.
Good
I feel
morning.
like I'm like next door. Good morning. Hello, everybody. My name is Sarah Payne, and yes, I'm a quilter for my sins. If you snap me in half, it would say quilting all the way through, I think, or at least sewing. But thank you very much, and Gemma, she's been brilliant, hasn't she? I have been dropping in and out all week, see how you're getting on without Mama Bear.
She is Mama Bear.
But people are allowed to go on holiday. In fact, I'm going on holiday this afternoon.
You are?
I am.
know.
I
in
am.
Myrtle.
I am. I'm off in my camper van.
You have to tell us about Myrtle. Because she's been something you've wanted for many, many years now.
Yes. I've recently purchased a 1980 VW camper van, Type 25. So after the traditional split screen ones came the T25, and that's what I've got.
Yeah, T25s are cool.
Yes,
they really
with
are.
with a flip top and
Yeah.
yes, me and Myrtle, because I say we're going camping, I mean me and Myrtle.
Yeah.
Myrtle is my van. I'm not going with any other human.
No,
But I'm going with Myrtle.
but that's the best way, in my
think so.
opinion. Yeah,
I
yeah.
think so. I've got my bunting. I've got my fairy lights.
Yes, I do all of this.
Barbecue for one.
Good girl. But you please yourself then. You cook what you want when you want, eat and drink when you want, all of that.
Exactly.
Are you taking some crafting with you? Some
I am
sewing?
actually. I'm taking some crochet, and I've got an embroidery project as well.
Oh,
I don't know how much I'm going to
gorgeous.
get done.
No.
You know, it's only 2.5 days.
But they're pick up, put down projects, aren't they? I have EPP when I'm away in our vintage
Yes.
caravan, because our Errol's similar age. He's 1981, January, February 81, same age as me. That was my husband's excuse when he turned up and said, so I need bloody-blah amount of money by lunchtime tomorrow, and I laughed. And he said, no, really, we've got a little vintage caravan arriving. And I said, pardon? I don't know where this money's coming from. And he went, oh, well, I thought it was romantic. He's the same age as you. Yeah, he got away with it. In a manner
I do
of
wish I
speaking.
was only 40. But, you know.
Oh, you surely are only 40.
Wrong side of that. But in my mind, I'm about 16. Actually, in my mind, I'm about 12. Especially when I'm a giddy kipper. I get very excited about things. I get excited about my camper van. I get excited about my cats, and I get excited about fabric and quilting.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I'm similar, caravan, dogs and quilting. Yeah.
there you go.
Yeah, all of that.
You
get
can tell
on
us
so
what
well.
you're a giddy kipper over. That'll melt Facebook
Yes.
though, won't it? If
Yes.
we get people to tell us.
Yes, and just please remember, everybody, if you say anything naughty / potentially violent, we get into big trouble in the world of Facebook. We had
Yeah,
someone
don't do that.
recently say, oh, I might have a stab at this quilt one day. It looks like a good one. And yeah, we got into trouble with Facebook for the word stab, even though it was in the context of, oh, I might have a stab at this. Like, please, don't get us into trouble with the Facebook gods.
Yes, the Facebook police.
Absolutely. Oh, we have got people saying they've got their newsletter, so it might be that we just need to have a look there. Oh.
Well, I get the newsletter, so I shall have a look in my inbox when I get home.
Oh, now look, there's little mentions here and there. For those of you who don't get the newsletter, there's people saying, I've got mine, very exciting. I love blank. I just need to decide which bundle to buy. Shh. These are our newsletter exclusive deals, and we do them every Friday. But this week is particularly ridiculous because Tash is away and we could. So, Lo says, I'm away in my moho, love it.
Oh, yes.
We love a moho.
Just, I could just get in Myrtle and head off.
Yep.
I've had one night away and I stayed in a scrapyard.
Oh, really?
Next to a boatyard because my mum lives on a boat.
Yeah.
And they were out of the water.
Oh, wow.
Every couple of years you've got to have your bottom blacked when you live on a boat. So they go into dry dock and they're still on the boat, just like 10 feet up in the air. It's a bit disconcerting.
Oh, yeah, that would be weird.
So I parked up in Myrtle and stayed in the scrap.
Do you know, I say to my husband, though, it doesn't really matter where you are half the time, so long as you get away.
Yeah.
And it's just so nice being away in your van,
We did check first before anybody asked. We did ask if I could stay in. And he said, yes, as long as you don't mind being locked in at 5 o'clock. I was like, nope, suits me. Even better.
Oh, we've got a comment. A holiday on my own. That would be amazing. There speaks a mother.
Yes.
That lovely peace and quiet.
Well, I'm quite fortunate.
Oh.
I say fortunate because Paul hates camping. So he's like, no, I'm not.
Do you know, just as you say that, Jill said, morning, are you not taking your other half with you, Sarah?
No, he hates it. He'll sit in Myrtle, and we went to the seaside recently. We went over to the Norfolk coast in Myrtle to give her a long run, see what happened.
Yeah.
And he enjoyed that, and he enjoyed sitting in it.
Yeah.
And had a cup of tea.
Yeah.
But not the overnight.
No.
Pulling up somewhere, peeing in a bucket.
But then that means you get to have that trip on your own, which is just amazing, isn't it?
Indeed.
Absolutely fabulous.
Indeed.
Oh, morning, Sarah and Gemma and everyone. Lovely to see you on here, Sarah. We've not had you here since April.
I know. I couldn't believe it was quite so long.
I know.
But it's hard to believe that it's nearly October.
Yeah, I know.
That's
and
like,
it really is like next Friday.
Yep.
It's October the 1st. And 10 days after that, my stepdaughter is 18. And it just, where did the months and the years go?
So she's 10th of October?
11th.
11th. Yeah. I'm 9th.
Oh.
9th of October. Share my birthday with John Lennon.
Do you really?
Creative genius him,
This is
obviously.
exactly what it is. Exactly what it is. Are you musical as well, Sarah?
I'm learning to play the ukulele.
Are you really?
So I'm taking my ukulele with me.
Fantastic.
So if you do see Myrtle
Yes.
and you hear some strange noises from it, it's probably me practicing my ukulele.
Well, that's fine.
Yep.
My next door neighbour plays the ukulele. Bless him. Yeah.
I'm having
True
lessons
story.
and everything.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah. If you want to do it, just do it.
Do you know, it's true though, isn't it? And you can live your life being very, very busy and then you suddenly go, what's that thing I've always wanted to do?
That was it. I started the ukulele and I bought Myrtle about a month later because I think I was having an early midlife crisis. I like to think it's early. And I just sort of went, I want to do things.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I read somewhere she couldn't until she could. And I
Yes.
thought, you know what?
Yeah.
I'm not very good at the ukulele, but I'm getting better. And when I play back the film that I did when I first started and I could only do 2 chords, now I can do like 9.
All of my beginner classes that I've ever taught, I've said an expert in anything was once a beginner.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's so true. Like if you don't start, you're never going to get anywhere.
It's the same with sewing.
Yeah.
And actually, you don't have to start big. You don't have to start complicated.
No.
You just have to start.
But it's just fabric as well.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, isn't it? You know, you can have the fear and you can have the perfectionism block, but it's just fabric.
And people say to me quite often, I don't have the time. Well, I'm learning to play the ukulele again, and I do 10 minutes in the evening before I go to bed. I go sit on my bed, I do 10 minutes practice, I have 6 songs that I practice, I go through them all and then I go to bed. It's just 10 minutes. And the thing with sewing is you don't have to sit down and sew all day.
No.
Obviously, if you've got to put your sewing machine on the table,
Yeah.
you need to plan it a little bit, but half-hour chunks, and you'd be surprised how quickly projects grow, whether you're dressmaking, whether you're making cushions, curtains for a camper van, or whether you're making a double bed quilt. It all starts with that first little step, and you can break it down into little bits. So what I brought you today is the quilt behind us. Now, I'll tell you a little bit about this. I do every quarter, I do my quilt hampers, and usually you could only get the quilt hamper as the entire hamper. All right. In fact, the next one, the autumn one, goes out on Monday. Not stressed at all. Actually, surprisingly, I'm calm and serene. It's all ready. I'm just waiting for the patterns to arrive.
Good girl.
But yeah, been doing it for about 2.5 years now. And basically what happens is I put together a pattern and a hamper, and then they all go out. But what I've done with you guys is I've actually taken the hamper and I've split it down so that if you want to, you can get it in separate pieces. Okay, so it's not the entire hamper that I've got with me today. So first of all, we've got the pattern. So this is the pattern. It does say hamper on the front. For obvious reasons, it was a hamper, and it has the requirements list at the bottom down here. It does say included. Obviously, that would be if I hadn't split it out, but I wanted to do something different for you guys than I normally do.
And our viewers like this as well, to have the option to buy more than one fabric bundle, sometimes to make more than one quilt. Yeah. And you know, if it's all in one bundle, then
or different fabrics or anything like that. So this is the pattern. I'm going to flick through it very quickly. I have a limited number of the ones printed like this. Once these have gone, they'll be printed and stapled together. Yeah. Because I have to print them out of my printer. So, and I always use lots and lots of images in my patterns.
If you want, Sarah, you can lay it down flat and I'll go into the overhead. Do you want to do that?
There we go.
Let's have a look.
So you'll see,
there you go.
I kind of go overboard on the images, which is why I get them professionally printed now, because it costs me a fortune in ink. But lots and lots of pictures to help you. So if you're a beginner, this is the first perfect project. Yes. This is one of those things. That's why my hampers do they do so well. It's because they go out to beginners who've never done anything before. And there we go. This is what we're looking at. I'm also at the front giving you an idea of what it looks like with white instead of black.
Oh, beautiful.
So you've got the pattern. Then we have the ruler. Which I've lost.
The ruler is behind you. I put it on display.
Thank you very much.
I thought if I put it there, it won't go missing. We'll know exactly where it is.
So with my hampers, I usually put together a ruler with the hamper, and this one is the 4.5-inch square. So you can get the pattern on its own, you can get the ruler on its own, you can get the two together. Beautiful. Okay, so those are the options. And then the fabric that I chose, I must admit, I love a bit of pink. I really do love some pink. I paired it up with the black so it doesn't get too overwhelming, because we know what pink can do. But this is the Tropical Bohemian range by Craft Cotton Company. And the quilt pattern uses 5 fat quarters of this, and then 1.3 meters for the whole of the front, including the binding. Okay, so I'm just going to show you these fabrics very quickly, and I absolutely adore the pink and the mustard together. So we've got these mustard tones. So I'm just going to flick through them so you can see what we have. Yummy, 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 yummy.
Beautiful.
Quite retro.
I was going to say these are really retro. I feel that Myrtle's had some input here.
That is actually the colour of my camper van. She is orange and cream.
Gorgeous.
So, and then this mustard one is absolutely
stunning.
Very sort of makes me think of a blanket, an Indian woven blanket.
Yes.
Beautiful. And then this one here with the dark green sort of colours, the olives in here as well, to balance out all those mustards. So here we go. These are the fabrics that you're going to get in your fabric bundle. Beautiful. So as I said, 5 fat quarters plus 1.3 meters. That is for the front and the binding. Also in the pattern, you do get, I always do a bonus project.
Oh, lovely.
On it as well. And there is a little bonus project on the back, which is just a little pouch, a little snap bag, if you happen to have some snaps. But it's all about binding in there, and also different ways of creating your blocks, because we have in this pattern 4 basic blocks. Okay, we have the centre square, which I'm going to show you first of all, which is a twisted economy block. Then we have flying geese border and a half square triangle.
Lovely.
And then we have log cabins all the way around the outside. Now, if we can just have a look at the one on the wall.
Yeah, of course we can.
Thank you very much.
I did my first flying geese earlier this year. I've been testing out the block of the month for Jane. And yeah, all these little components now, I've started learning them all. And it's like, oh,
yeah,
gorgeous. I love the effect.
They're quite traditional shapes and quite traditional blocks. So once you've got to grips with them, you can do all sorts of things with them. So we have that economy square in the middle, on point. The centre twists. Then we have it on point. Then we've got the flying geese and the half square triangles. Now, some people who've made this up have changed the direction of the flying geese, perhaps having them all flying out to the outsides or all flying in. It's up to you. I had them rotating. And then we have got our lovely log cabins around the outside. So I'm going to see how far we get.
Gorgeous.
Because time does fly when I come here. I don't know.
Time flies when you're having fun.
Yeah,
That's
something weird happens when you come through the door. But okay, so I'm just going to grab a long ruler. I'm basically going to make a start. All right,
Why
so
not?
the way I've designed this is you can mix up the colours any way you like. So you don't have to use a specific colour for a specific step. That's why we finish off with the log cabin, because we basically use up all the bits that are left over to make the log cabins. You don't have to make, you know, the centre block of one particular colour. If you want the centre to be the mustard, then you can go with the mustard. You know, if you want perhaps the centre to be black, you can do that as well, because there's plenty of black fabric in there. So it means that everybody who makes this quilt, each one will be subtly different, even if you're using the same bundles, because you can mix it up.
It's nice to have options as well. It's customisable then, isn't it?
It is, it is. And actually, you know, if you want to make it bigger, because the size of this, I think, is 36 inches.
Okay.
Which means you can back it with a metre.
Yeah.
Which is quite important, I think, when you're beginning as well, because obviously you've got to take into account the backing and the wadding as well. And having something that size is nice and manageable. It's manageable for quilting and easy to play with. So if you want to make it bigger, you can make 4 of them.
Well, there you go, you see, and 4 of them would be a beautiful size to throw on a bed, wouldn't it?
It would,
Absolutely gorgeous. Anne says that she's had the hamper and loved the quilt, and that the colours are far brighter and sumptuous in real life.
Yes, they do.
That's
they
really
are pretty.
helpful.
They are pretty gorgeous. As I said, I paired it with the black, or you can use white as well, as you'll see in the pattern. But I think this is an important point when you are buying fabric and when you're putting fabrics together. It doesn't matter how loud or clashing you feel your fabrics are. If you pair them with a black or a white, it just balances everything out. It makes the colours pop, but it doesn't overwhelm them. So it means that you can mix together different styles, different colours, if you just sort of pair it up with something and keep them separated a little bit, like I have on this particular quilt. So let's crack on. Now the first thing we want to do is I'm going to start with my centre square. So which one? I'm going to do the mustard in the centre, I think, because I very much like the mustard.
I love a mustard fabric. Really love a mustard fabric.
Yes. Now I only need 1 square, so I'm not going to cut a whole strip of fabric off, because that would be waste.
Yes, we don't like waste.
No, we don't. We keep all the bits as we need them. So I'm just going to open my... I'm not going to throw these on. There is actually a bin down here. I'm not throwing it on the floor.
Well, you'll be different to Tash then, because she throws everything on the floor. I'm forever telling her off. Oh, we're being asked here, what part of the Norfolk coast are you off to? There's people 20 miles from Cromer, and other people saying that they're in Cromer. I
went to Wells a couple of weeks ago, Wells next to sea. But I'm actually going to Ipswich. I'm not going to North Norfolk, I'm going to Suffolk.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to it's called the Retro Retro Van Fest.
I think that's where my husband wanted to go this weekend, and then he's ended up at a classic car show on Saturday.
It's my first foray.
Yeah.
And I've joined a couple of
amazing.
Facebook groups, and they're going to be there.
It's so lovely because you'll go and look at other people's vans, they'll come and look at yours, and it's just, it's so nice.
Mine is definitely a work in progress. It needs a lot of work doing to it, but
you'll get some really great conversations
Yes.
going on with lots of recommendations. This is what we found with our Errol, and my husband's had VW camper vans before the caravan that we've got now in the past, and they're just a great community of people. They'll all give you advice, and it's lovely.
Next year you may find me in a field near you, because my second book's coming out in May.
Yeah.
And I'm planning a UK tour in Myrtle.
Perfect.
2 weeks on, 2 weeks off for 4 months.
Amazing. That'd be brilliant.
So I've got a lot of work to do on her
keep
before
threatening
then.
to go on tour.
Yep.
Tasha's got a great big horse lorry. She'd probably throw all of us in the back.
Oh yeah, I'll be able to plug my sewing machine in.
Fantastic.
Right, I'm going to cut my first little square.
There's also a request that next time you're in, rendition on the ukulele, please.
I'm not very good.
You've said it now. And also questionable, can you really fit that many songs into 10 minutes? Are you singing them too fast and your strings are on fire?
Maybe 20 minutes. I'm getting a dab hand at Jolene.
Oh, I love Dolly. I love Dolly.
Yes, that's A minor, C, G, F, A minor. There you
Brilliant.
go. I've got it in my head now. That's the first line. That's the Jolene bit. So
Brilliant.
Just let that warm up a
Brilliant.
second. Yes. Paul, actually, last night I was practicing and Paul was in the bedroom. I was sitting on the bed with my ukulele and the cat came in, took one look at me and then turned around and walked out again. He said that's because she's got eardrums.
So rude.
Very rude.
So rude. I bet the cat thinks you're wonderful. Our animals always think we're wonderful. Always, always.
Not quite sure.
Dear.
Right. So now I am going to cut a strip of this one. I think this one is 2.5.
Well, it'll all be in the pattern.
There we
won't
go.
it?
It's all in the pattern,
It's
yes.
all in the pattern. I mean, for your benefit, you need to know what it is now, but for everyone else's benefit, it's in the pattern.
It is in the
Lovelies.
pattern.
It's all there for you.
All right, so I'm just
dear.
trimming off the end there. Yes, I'm trying to learn the flying pickets. Only you, because you do that plucking. You pluck the
Right.
4 strings.
I'm going to have to Google this, aren't I?
And it is quite tricky. And it's you pluck a C, F, and G.
Okay.
And I can keep up with the C and then the F, but then when I've got to go to the G, that's when it all goes.
Is it a
horribly
big
wrong.
stretch?
So at the moment, I'm just doing it in C and F.
My daughter's got a guitar, and I mean, her nails are too long now to be playing the guitar. She's just, oh, bless her. But when she was learning, that was the one thing, was she's like, to make that stretch to some of the notes was
Yes.
really far. And then my lovely friend from when I was a kid was teaching her, and he's like, right, I want you to do these exercises, and it will help to make your fingers more, able to stretch. Amazing, really.
Yeah, it is tricky, but at school,
Oh, look at that fabric.
I had a teacher who told me that I couldn't hold a tune in a bucket,
Rude.
and that I would never, because
How rude.
because I don't hear so well. Obviously, if you know me, you know I wear hearing aids. That means my voice in my head sounds different because it all echoes. I hear anyway. Most people find that when they listen to their voice, it sounds different.
Yes.
Mine even more so. So hang on, I'm just trying to. What was it? 7.5. Sorry.
It's all right.
I'm trying to talk at the same time.
Well,
So yes, my
the
music
thing.
teacher told me that I should just stick to the glockenspiel.
Oh.
Oh, just long enough.
Myra's on her way home from hospital. Speak to us all in 15 minutes. So little break. She'll be back. Oh. We have a morning lovelies from Lorraine as well. Good morning, Lorraine.
Hello, Lorraine.
Nice to have you here.
Right, now what I didn't do was set up the machine.
Well, that's all right.
Oh dear,
That's
oh dear. I didn't
fine.
think to do that because you forget when you're with someone
you
else.
do forget. I said this earlier this week. It's a bit like cooking in someone else's kitchen or trying to drive someone else's car.
Yes.
You've owned many cars yourself over the years, many cars, and then suddenly someone else's car, you suddenly can't drive. You've got absolutely no idea how to put it in gear or anything like that.
When yours comes back from the garage and they've adjusted your seat. Now I'm not very tall, so I end up sitting really close
Yeah.
to the steering wheel, like this, driving Miss Daisy. It's kind of me. Hang on, I need to get the
I've just
needle
gone
back.
into close-up mode for you. Just
I
as
know,
you were doing
that's
your little driving Miss Daisy,
Hang on. Oh, there we go. That one.
she says.
It's a different sewing machine. There we go. Right. So I've got my pieces. I put them right sides together. I've got my centre square and one of the outside pieces. And why does my foot come up? There we go. Oh, it stops in between. That's why.
There you go. Oh, I think the walking foot's on actually on that one, isn't it? That looks very much to me like the integrated walking foot.
It is the
doing its
integrated
thing.
walking foot.
Is that going to be okay or is that going to cause you a problem?
There we go. That's it, isn't it? It flicks back.
I'm glad
So-
you know, Sarah, because my one of these hasn't arrived yet. I bought one a while ago and we've just had availability pop back up and the instant question was, Gemma, are you going to have yours? And I went, I know there are other viewers who really want them and I can manage a little bit longer. So yes, that was snapped up very quickly. If you're on the waiting list for the reconditioned NX7s, you do get notification of when they come up on the website and you get the chance to buy them first. So anyone who wants to add themselves to that waiting list, give us a shout on the info at email address. Are we all right?
Yeah, I've just missed the centre somehow.
Oh, okay. I didn't know whether you played Bobbin Chicken and lost. That's our normal trick round here.
Yes, that's all right. It's just, there we go. It's kind of, you get used to a certain machine.
You do.
And I did kind of remind myself this time, I don't know why the bobbin thread's not going through. I did remind myself this time to check the machine before I started. And then we had a cup of coffee and I forgot.
Yeah. Well, and I broke a glass. A glass fell out of the cupboard and smashed.
Oh,
and
we've had all sorts of
bruised
traumas
me.
here today, haven't we?
Yeah. It was very close to us going on air, so it just got thrown into a plastic box because I couldn't find the dustpan. I mean, it's all happened, hasn't it?
And it's like, this is what, when people say, what do you do if something goes wrong on the TV? Because it does,
Well,
invariably. You just carry on.
You just carry on.
You just
carry on and have a natter, don't you?
you
Well,
just
in our
get-
case, there's not much a natter doesn't fix. So Josh has got an actual answer for why our voices sound slightly differently outwardly than they do in our own heads, and it's to do with bone conduction, apparently.
It is,
Josh
and
is a musician, you see. He knows
if
these
you
things.
are if you are hard of hearing, it depends on as well how your hearing loss, what causes your hearing loss, as well, whether it's eardrum damage or the little hairs in your ears can affect it too. I don't know why, but this
Is it still misbehaving?
It
I
is
believe we have got the DX here as well, so
hang on, let me
it'll
just
be something really
you see
simple.
what we normally do. What I normally say to people. When something goes wrong on your sewing machine, you do the equivalent of switching it off and switching it on again, which is actually just to rethread it.
Absolutely.
So we'll give that a go.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Jane was using this on Wednesday, but you know.
So it may just be me.
You walk away and then you walk back again and then it says, no, not today.
Yes, we're not
I have
playing.
said this a few times, you know, is that sometimes you just have to say, machine, I'm having 10 minutes and a packet of Maltesers, or actually, I'll see you tomorrow. We,
I
of
know
course,
there's a
don't have
needle
the
threader
benefit
on
of
here,
that.
but by the time I've worked out how to use it.
Absolutely.
So bobbin is in there. Right, let's grab a scrap.
There's plenty of scraps just down to your left. You'll see there we go. Lots
there
of
we
bits of lovely fabric.
Good old scrap
Some,
buster.
yeah. Never throw the scraps away. A little scrap bin to your side's always useful, isn't it? And if it really won't behave, then yes, we have
we'll
got
just
the
swap over.
we have got the DX here.
Yeah, if in doubt, rethread. And that does often do the trick. Because there are machines, yeah, it's still, the weird thing is, it's stitching halfway across.
Oh.
And then
misbehaving.
So let's just swap the machines.
Just hit, and the pedal and the power cord and everything is interchangeable. So you just whip the one knot out and then the other one's here. So.
We'll have to, sorry, Natasha.
It's fine. In actual fact, you know, we've done this on purpose. And why have we done this on purpose? Because the DX is back in stock at our supplier. And it hasn't been all year, Sarah. So you're obviously going to now show the beautiful machine and how wonderful it is.
Yes.
We planned this. We planned this all along, didn't we? Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. I've just seen you have the most fabulous shoes in the whole world on. Of course you do. Do they have a unicorn on one foot and a castle on the other?
They do. Do we need to see them? I'm not going to lift my foot up.
Oh, they are incredible. Shall I go into overhead mode? Let me just get the camera to. Oh, come, wake up, wake up.
I'm just standing here with my shoe.
You see this whole swirly whirly thing on the screen? That's just the camera just saying, oh, just take a moment. It's Friday. I don't normally work on a Friday.
There we go. So there's a unicorn on that one.
That.
And it says King of the Castle on the back. I didn't design these. These are a well-known brand. So there's that one.
We can say brands. We're not on the telly.
Oh,
we're
yes.
Fine.
A regular choice.
Yes. I thought so.
And then the other one's got, obviously.
Look at these.
That's the castle. And the thing is, I wear these shoes even when I'm on the telly. Nobody can see them, but I know I'm wearing them. And they make me feel fabulous.
Well,
and they're so comfy.
That's what it's all about, isn't it?
So,
lovely Karen always goes to Morrison's in the most splendid dress every Tuesday. And
I think
heels.
you should.
Yeah. Wow.
If you only save things for best, then it never gets an airing. It's like the family jewels. You know, the diamonds that your great grandmother left you.
Yeah.
Get them out.
Get them out, wear them. Absolutely. Victoria Peak says, good morning all from rainy Gibraltar.
Oh, international.
No, absolutely. We do have this. We do. Myra says, I've just been to ENT. It's all about the ears this morning, isn't it? Oh, bless you, Myra. And, here we go. Josh updates. I did a master's degree in audio science. Your actual skull resonates frequencies, which is why we always go, oh, God, do I really sound like that? Aww.
Yes, well, my music teacher kind of put me off music at that point. You made me stand at the back and I used to occasionally get to ding the triangle. But after many years, I thought, you know what? I really want to learn to play the ukulele. I always thought it was fun. It's one of those instruments that you look at and makes you smile.
Yeah, it really does though, doesn't it?
It does. You can't be grumpy and play the ukulele.
My granddad was a huge George Formby fan. And,
you're not allowed to play George Formby though.
Are you not?
No, you get your licence taken away from you.
What?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
What is this?
Because everybody goes, oh, you play George Formby? And anyone who plays the ukulele goes, no.
Oh, really? Oh, my word. Claire Angelina says, I treat my machine like I do my kids. If it's been naughty, I put it in the corner, tell it it's been naughty, and then it can come back in 5 minutes.
There you go.
Well, the NX isn't coming back in 5 minutes because, you know, we've got the DX out now, and that's rather marvellous too.
Yes.
Is that one working?
Yes, of course it is.
I used that last.
It's just because it was sitting over there in the corner going, play with me.
Yeah, it really
play
was.
with me.
Oh, very nice, the shoes. I just love your shoes. That's what they're all saying now. Shoes, shoes, shoes. Doesn't really matter if we make a quilt. They all love the shoes. So the next thing I'm going to need to do, Sarah, is just turn the machine slightly and work out the angle.
Sorry, I put it in the wrong
fun?
position again.
So I've just got to see. Oh, do you know what? That isn't too bad. About there. About there.
About there?
Perfect.
You good there? Right, brilliant.
Everyone will soon tell us if they can't see in a minute when you're sewing.
I go to events and I'll be behind a table demonstrating. People go, show us the shoes. Show us the shoes.
Do you know, Karen said, oh, I knew you'd have fabulous shoes on. This is Karen of the Morrison's beautiful dresses and shoes. Oh, how funny. Right.
But then if I go anywhere and I'm just wearing like my civvies, you know, no makeup, no fancy shoes, people go, oh, no shoes?
That would be like me being somewhere with my nails looking dull. Everyone would have a fit. But you do sometimes get to have, you know, a rest.
Sometimes you just roll out of bed and go somewhere, don't you? Right, there we go. This is what we're trying to do.
Oh, we're going back to there. There we go. Ta-da!
So I've managed to sew my strips on. We're doing well so far.
Hooray! Well, you've sewn some stuff together.
Yay!
That's the name of the game, isn't it?
So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to press the seams. It doesn't really matter in this on this block which way you press your seams, or even if you want to press them open, because we're not going to be piecing this against anything, so we don't need to worry about lining up. But I am just going to very quickly, I think I'll press them into the back.
Linda says, good morning all, I've just had to order the pattern. Well, you enjoy it, Linda. It's a beauty, isn't it?
Yes, I will be cutting and packing when I get back on Monday.
So these kits are coming out from you, aren't they, Sarah?
They are.
We're sending you the orders across and you're sending them out, which is lovely.
Yes, the first time I've been doing any of that.
And Josh says, Sarah, it sounds like you had a terrible music teacher. You keep doing you and enjoy your ukulele. Actually, to be fair, is that SJ? Because I just saw you keep doing you. That sounds... Oh, who knows now? Who knows?
Right.
SJ sorted Lisa out with her lack of newsletter. Perfect customer service, as always, from Natasha Meigs.
Oh, brilliant.
We aim to please, Lisa.
That is the joy of having a very efficient team behind you.
Well, we try. We try.
So, I'm just basically sticking a border around my pieces.
Yeah.
All right. So, if your pieces, if you cut a strip and it's slightly too short on the longer pieces, don't worry, because we are going to trim it down. This is just me being generous.
It is Josh saying, you do you. Down with the kids, Josh. That's what it is. Down with the kids. Oh, Elizabeth Crangle says, teachers can be, well, let's just say it never ceases to amaze me how a narrow mind and a big mouth are frequently found in the same head. Do you know, it's a shame, but it's true. And that's part of what took me into teaching. When I was at school, my home ec teacher told my mother that I was hopeless at all things home economics, and yet I am known amongst my friends as being the domestic goddess now, because I love to cook and sew and knit and do all sorts of things. And I think, nah.
Exactly, yeah. Life is too short. To
write someone off who enjoys those things, well, it's not very fair, is it?
I think my problem with the singing was I like singing, I'm just not very good at it. So I would be standing there singing my little socks off badly,
but
drowning out everyone with any talent whatsoever.
But encouragement should be given to those who have an enthusiasm for it. I mean, I've got friends who teach singing, and they've said to so many of my friends, they're like, oh no, I'm not going to sing because I can't. Everyone can sing. Everyone can sing. Now, admittedly, some people can hold a note better than others, but everyone can sing.
Everybody can make
joy.
Yeah.
There's nothing quite like being on your own and singing your head off, is there?
No.
Really loud. I love it in the car.
It gets the endorphins going. It releases serotonin. Exactly. It just makes you all happy.
You don't have to be the world's best singer to enjoy it. Same with sewing though, you don't have to be the world's best sewer to enjoy it. No one starts
finish
out
is better than perfect.
Yes.
It's better that you've actually sewn something wonky than not sewn it at all.
Yes.
Also, when you're learning, I think it's great to look back, because you can see each time you do a new project, you'll get better and better and better. It's like me and my ukulele.
Yes.
You can almost recognise the tune to Jolene now, whereas before you certainly couldn't. Right. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to use. I'm very much a believer.
Piece of paper.
Yeah, I'm very much a believer in you use what you've got around you, and sometimes the old ways are the best. So what I'm actually going to use, I'm not going to use this to cut my shape, but I'm going to use it to work out my shape, because I need a 5.5-inch square. Now there isn't a 5.5-inch square ruler. There's a 4.5. and a 6.5, but not a 5.5. And I want to position. So actually trying to do it with a ruler, it's a little bit tricky because you have to come in here. It's just a little awkward. So I use a piece of paper.
Twiddly.
So what I want to do, and it is marked in the pattern. See here, it shows you where you're actually marking it. So what we're going to do is I'm going to get my piece of paper to sort of bisect those side seams there. All right, so top and bottom, this is where the seam is. So the top of this piece of paper is just at that seam there. And I'm going to mark it, and I'm going to mark it with a very dark pen that I just found over there. But that's okay. It's just so that you can see it. All right, I'm just going to mark there and there.
There are a whole bunch of fabric markers kicking around to your left near the iron as well.
Yes, I often do this with Sharpies when I'm demonstrating so you can see. Because obviously this is a very busy fabric, but maybe if I lift that up in front of the machine, you'll be able to see it a little better. If I just hold that there.
She says.
I did that just as she took a mouthful of...
That thing.
You see, this is that corner that I've just marked. And where's the other one? There's another corner down there and here. So I'm lining up my piece of paper with these 2 points and keeping them kind of central, because the rest of this is going to be trimmed away. So now I can go back and take whatever size ruler I have, because I can now line up my numbers. So I've got, you see, I'm going to cut. Once I've got my ruler on here, I know that if I line up the top of my ruler with that mark and cut up here and here, when I rotate it, it's all going to be nice and square.
Marvellous.
Right.
I love it. It's on a jaunty angle.
Yes, I do like a jaunty angle.
Yes.
But it's so much easier to do that with a piece of paper to mark. Hang on, let me just find my line. Oh, it's because I've turned my ruler around. Right, there we go.
We've all got our own ways of doing things, haven't we? And,
yes, and I think sometimes a scrap of paper.
Yeah.
I did, when I was designing this, I spent ages trying to work out how to describe to you how to get that shape, and it just was not working at all. So once we get a little bit bigger, we can use a bigger ruler. But that first one was a bit tricky. Okay, so next I'm going to get another piece of fabric. This time I'll do black. It's quite nice to have contrast between them.
Yeah.
And black is a great contrast that we can stick in at any time. And I'm just going to cut a strip of this. Now, the nice thing about this is I think it's the same size strip as you use for your log cabin.
Excellent. I now see, when you were saying about the centre square being black, you would get that pop in the middle of having a dark middle square, wouldn't you? Let me just go actually so people can
But
see
go with your gut.
Yeah.
Go with your
because
gut.
When you first glance at your quilt, it looks like that central 2 squares is one.
Yes, it kind of merges together.
It's beautiful. But yeah, you would end up with that, it's almost like an extra square look to the centre, wouldn't you?
And it just gives it a little, I thought, rather than just putting a, a full patch in the middle or something like that, because once you get sort of going with your quilting, you can change out certain blocks. So I think that one in the middle, I can't remember whether it finishes at 12.5. It may well finish, or 12 when it's all sewn in. So you could put a different block in there completely. Or you could take this centerpiece here and replace that with maybe a 1/4 square triangle.
Yeah.
You can really play around with the design.
So much.
I love that. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my strip and I'm going to sew another border around my center.
Fabulous.
So let's do that.
Auntie Lizzie's here again. She says, one of my stylists used to sing off key in my salon and I loved it. She was so blooming happy.
Yep.
I think it's, you can hear the joy in someone's voice, can't you?
You can. And I went for an audition recently. Well, yes, kind of. For a ukulele band.
Oh.
But I'm only performing at their rehearsals.
Yeah.
So I've kind of auditioned as a strummer, a background strummer.
But really good opportunity to improve your skills, isn't it? Because being around people who are skilled in something, it really does. Well, it's like me with this, isn't it? I've been sewing for years and years, and then the quilting came in sort of 2018, but I really just stayed in one place with it. I just kept getting charm packs and using those because that was my safe place. I didn't have to worry about cutting.
Expanding.
And just spending time around Jane and Natasha, I've really been pushed to do things that, well, and also you see other people do it and you go, well, actually, that makes sense. And,
Yeah, it
and
can't be that
I'll give it a
difficult.
go. I'll give it a go. Whereas on your own at home, you probably wouldn't. you'd probably stay in your comfort zone and just stick with it.
And
so it's good
sitting,
to...
there you go, I've done top and bottom. I'm just going to press that and trim it.
Do you know, I keep predicting you like I do my Jane. And then you're back again, and then you're this way and you're that way.
Sorry.
Tash said to me when I first
keep
started
forgetting.
doing the camera angles for Jane, she said, you have to watch Jane, you have to predict where she's going next because she's like a ninja. She's really fast. You are too, Sarah. You're on to the next thing. I'm like, oh, which way am I going? I'm not a camera woman.
I'm used to, with the TV, we have multiple cameras and there's somebody, you're not talking to that person. That person is just going button, 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 and they can follow you really quickly, but we're so busy talking. Right, so now I'm going to take the next bit of the strip and stitch onto the sides.
Gorgeous.
But I think the thing with the rehearsals is as well, you know, everybody has a laugh doing it.
Mm-hmm.
They don't really need to rehearse. They're called the PUB in Peterborough. They don't really need to rehearse, but I think it's more of a get together and a sing song, and you know, just being near live music.
Yes.
It just does something to your heart rate.
It does.
It makes you happy, and that's.
I love that they are the PUB, aka pub. Yes. I'm going to the pub.
Yes, there's something. I can't remember what the P stands for. I thought it was Peterborough Ukulele Band, but it's not. I can't remember what it is, but it's something else. Ukulele band, and my teacher Christine is in that, and it's just a joyful thing. If you ever get the chance to go along and see any ukulele band, go and see them, because they do perform mostly in pubs though.
Well, there you go, the pub in the pub.
So, but yeah, live music is just joyful, and singing, and I mean, people in choirs. Everybody knows how good that is for you.
Yeah, a friend of mine joined well, there was several of them. So there was different choirs on different nights. There was rock choir, there was pop choir. I think they had a show choir.
I'm going to the iron.
We'll go over. Oh, not until we go overhead. No, we'll go. We'll look at your lovely face. I'm going this way, Gemma. Okay. There was one that was show tunes. That was it, show tunes choir.
Oh, right.
So like, you know, West Side Story and all those big, exactly, all the musicals. And I was like, how do you choose? She was like, I don't choose, I just go to as many as I can.
Yes, just enjoy.
Different one each night, but just being around all those people and singing. And it's so nice to think that these things can start again, isn't it?
It is, and we can get out there and have some fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
So now I have, I've obviously got my centre square. Now I'm going to do the same thing, but with the outside, because I've got a larger ruler. Mm-hmm. You'll see that when I tilt it again, we get that continued shape around it, and now it reaches the edges. So I'm just going to chop that off. Am I just doing that the right way? Do I want to go that way? No, I don't. I do want to go.
You question yourself when you're explaining it to someone else, don't you?
Yes. So what I'm doing is
it's just you at home.
I'm positioning it so that I kind of, all the rulers, there's this 6.5. If you haven't got a 6.5 inch ruler, use a piece of paper again, but it should touch the sides, because then we're going to get a nice square result. And I think this is a fun way of sort of making a block that's just a little bit different, because you see it's twisting. And now what we're going to do, so that is the centre twist. Then we go on point. So let's pick a different fabric. I think I'll go with that one, quite like this one. And this one I'm going to cut 2 squares. I would, if I were you, I'd cut as you go along, because there's lots of different bits and pieces in this pattern, and it's very easy to get distracted or cut a load of things and then go.
It's unusual in that respect, isn't it? I try and do all my cutting at the beginning with my projects, but actually seeing this, I'm thinking cutting as you go.
Well, with the summer hamper, that's actually the same pattern repeated. It's actually an apple core, not an apple core, an orange peel. Thinking fruit.
Yeah,
it's an orange peel pattern. So then you can just cut whatever you need. cut it all in one go, or just
Yeah.
cut it as you go along, because everything's the same. When you've got a repeating block, you might as well cut it all in one go.
Absolutely.
And then I'm going to cut diagonally across. This is why we have so many rulers, isn't it?
Well, we love a ruler.
I do.
I don't know what I did before I got my Creative Grids rulers, with the non-slip and everything. They're just wonderful.
I love my rulers, and I've got a rack to put them in now, which just
Yeah.
makes everything a lot easier.
Yeah.
So, see, what we're going to do is we're going to place these on the top here. Now, when I put them right size together, you'll see that they overhang at the end, and that's exactly what they should do.
Fabulous.
All right.
Top tips.
So you've got these little tips on the end here. Don't worry about that. I did see a tray. There we go. Load of clips. You can clip them if you want. I love a wonder clip. Right, so now I'm going to sew from one end to the other with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. So starting from there all the way along. Somebody asked me recently, they said you never do stop stitches at either end of your patchwork.
Reversing your stitches.
Yes, so where you either go backwards or you do a stop stitch.
Yeah.
And I don't. I do when I'm dressmaking, and I do when I'm making home decor and things like that. But with quilting, every single line will eventually be bisected by another line, even at the very end when you are doing your binding. Okay, so there's my first one. You can see there.
We'll close up. There we go.
And you can see you've got that little tip hanging over the edge there. That's just right. So I'm going to put the other one. If I'm doing something that I'm going to need to stretch or pull or anything like that, perhaps like a Dresden plate, I will do a little stop stitch at the top of that because I don't want it to come apart. But as a rule of thumb, we don't need to worry. Right.
Myra's back home now. She's under a duvet getting warm and cosy.
Who's that?
Myra, she's back now.
Aw.
She was saying, I'll see you in 15 minutes.
So there we go. I'm just going to press. Just going to press that. Go over to the iron.
Subtle there. I'm just going to press this now, Gemma. That's the camera angle you need.
I'm helping.
You are, thank you. I've
Thing
just
is, you get
noticed you have rather fabulous earrings in as well. Licorice all sorts earrings. They're amazing.
I also have a necklace with flumps.
Oh, really?
On that I was going to put on this morning, but then when I got up at sort of 5 a.m, do you think I could find my flumps? I couldn't. They're not edible flumps. They are actually.
No, it would have made me hungry.
Yes.
I knew we'd talk about food eventually, you know.
I bought some earrings the other day. There was an event, a flea and craft event in Peterborough Cathedral, and this lady had these earrings, and they look like the party ring biscuits, and that's what they're supposed to be. They're pink. They're about that big.
Oh,
they're pink with the icing over
amazing.
them. So
Love
they were rather marvellous too.
Love it.
I like silly jewellery.
It's
See,
fun,
back in the
isn't
day,
it?
before when I had a proper job.
When I had a proper job.
When I had a proper job, I was a software trainer in legal accounts, which is very serious. Very serious, you know, and you do spend your days with solicitors teaching them how to do VAT. And you had to wear, you know, black suit. I'd wear a trouser suit, black suit, and very sensible shoes. But I would sneak in an interesting brooch or a necklace or a pair of earrings, because I've also got quite a lot of hair, so I can hide quite a lot under there. But there'd always be something a little sort of rebellious.
Yeah, got to be done. Got to be done. It's important.
And now it doesn't matter a jot.
No, now you can be as quirky as you wish.
Yes, my next door neighbour the other day, we've lived next door to them for 10 years, and obviously I've just got the camper van. There we go. So there's the border of that. I'm just going to go press that.
Gorgeous.
And he'd seen the camper van. He was leaning over the fence, and we share a fence by our vegetable plots at the end of the garden. So we generally talk vegetables. But he said, I've known you and Paul for 10 years and he's very sensible and very grown up and you're a bit weird and a bit of a hippie.
Rude.
I was like,
Again.
I'll take that. I'll take that.
I take that as a compliment. Thank you and please.
Yeah, my cousin once said to me that weird is a byproduct of awesome.
Yeah.
And I went, yep, I'm keeping that. I'm going to have that one.
Yep.
So now all we're going to do is finish it with a black square. So,
I've been told before that I'm a bit much. I said, well, always better to have too much than too little.
Exactly. And I remember a school report again. My teacher said, Sarah, because I used to have to move around a lot with my dad's work. And Sarah's fitted in well, but she is a little over-exuberant. So first thing I had to do was look up over-exuberant.
Yeah. Well, I think that should just be,
And I thought that's a good thing.
Yeah. I don't think that that's a negative thing at all. We have a new viewer, a Natasha McCarthy.
Oh dear.
Go away. Go away. Tell her to go away. Go away. We're on holiday. Go away.
Yes, you're not supposed to be
Go
watching.
and
Are you
have fabulous
checking up
time.
on me?
Well, yes, of course. Of course.
She probably saw all those pictures that I posted of me and her this morning on my Facebook page.
Gorgeous. I saw those. Lovely.
Including-
bad joke o'clock. Auntie Lizzie. They say solicitors never age, they just lose their appeal. Boom, boom. Oh no. Can always rely on you for a bad joke.
Let's just ignore that one. I think I needed to cut 2 of these. I wasn't paying attention. I'll cut one and then I'll cut the other one.
Right.
That's because I know Natasha's watching. No pressure,
Yeah,
Natasha.
no pressure.
Yeah.
We'll go with, she said to dig around in over-exuberant somewhere. There's a compliment there.
Yes. She didn't mean
There
it as a
is.
compliment, that teacher, but
No. But then they say offence is only taken, not given, don't they? So if we choose to take these things, if we take these things well, then they don't get to be insulting, do they?
Exactly. Yeah, that is one way of looking at it.
I think.
But my
so.
friends at school, the other thing she said was she said about making friends easily. She said, but she has found herself an interesting crowd and birds of a feather stick together. I was like, I'm not quite sure what that means, but thank you.
But it meant you lot were trouble.
Yeah. We were the funnest.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
I did take to being disruptive in her class. I used to she made me sit at the front. And I would take my hearing aid out. And if you hold your hearing aid in your hand, it makes a whistling noise.
Oh, really?
It feeds back. So
Oh.
I'd sit at the front with my hearing aid. It's like, I'll get you. Because you can't pick on the disabled
No.
person. So I'd sit there,
that is so naughty.
and I'd be under the table and I'd go like that. And it would go, and everybody would be,
naughty.
what is that noise? And I'd be sitting there going, I can hear whistling.
What a minx. What a minx you were.
Yeah,
Oh,
nothing's
dear.
changed. Nothing's changed. Good job I don't have children, really. I have 2 nieces and a nephew, and I
that
teach
naughty
them.
auntie instead, aren't you?
I teach them all my bad habits.
Well, quite.
I taught
Pass
James.
these things on somewhere, it's important.
I taught James to play chew and show when he was about 2. His mum was
Chew
not.
and show? Is that an actual? Oh my word! Is that a thing? Chew and show?
Yeah, when you chew your food and then you show everyone.
Behave. It's revolting.
Yeah.
I love the way Tash has just appeared at this moment and it's just descended.
This is why she doesn't let me anywhere near her.
No. The first time you and I met was just over 2 years ago, wasn't it? When Natasha had her
It was.
40th in the garden here.
It
Stephen had
was.
50th. That was a nice sunny and well-oiled afternoon. I just felt like we could, just pick up where we left off, just minus any gin or anything like that.
Yes, no alcohol involved
No
in
alcohol
this
today.
occasion.
None.
No.
I've just managed to drop a glass while sober, which is excellent.
So I've taken my 2 squares and I've cut them in half, and that's given me my squares for the outside. Now, firstly, the reason why I've chosen to cut them in half and the same here rather than take a big square and cut it into quarters is because of the bias stretch. You see, when you cut a square in half, your bias is across here, and that's okay in this block because it means it's nice and rigid around the outside.
Nice.
If I was to cut this, you know, if I had a square like this,
Yeah.
and I'd cut it like that, the bias would then be on the outside,
Which would be not where you
which
want
would
it.
not be great. It would make it tricky to put together. These are straight bias across here, or straight cut, so no stretch here, and it means that it's easier to put this piece to it. If you
Yeah.
try to sew two stretches to two stretches, nightmare.
Yeah.
It's like trying to staple jelly.
Do you know,
So-
this is all the sort of stuff, though, that you don't know when you first start out. And I remember Tash explaining the warp and the weft to me and all of
Yeah.
this, and me just looking at her like, what?
And why is that important?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, that's often the thing. It's not just what is it about, it's why do I care?
Yeah.
You know, what is the
Well,
point of me knowing?
because, you know, I was making something and I said, oh, well, this fabric's that width, so I'm just turning it the other way around and doing this and that. And she was like, well, will this affect that? And I went, what? She's like, well, you know, there's a direction to your fabric. And I went, what? You know,
Yeah,
I just
often
cuts
we
it
just
out,
think,
depending on what size it is, if it's that big that way and that big that way, I just cuts it out. She's like, this is a thing, Jem. I need to explain this to you.
it does depend as well on how much fabric you've got.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people think it's just about the pattern.
it's
not.
not.
It's about this diagonal and keeping, because I have seen patterns where people make sort of economy patches like this. One way that I've seen people do it is you sew a square on top and then you cut it
Yeah.
and open it up. But then that means all of your outsides are stretchy.
Yeah, which is
And
not
we
great.
we don't really want that.
We want some outer support there, don't we?
We do.
In
yes.
all things.
We don't need to be bouncing all over the place.
No, good amount of support, not having everything bouncing.
Because the thing is as well, with bias stretch, you know, you stretch it, you sew it together, it looks fine. You wash it, the fabric returns to what it was before it was stretched. Which means then your fabric goes and all of a sudden you've got wrinkles all over your blocks.
Okay.
So, you know, it's something to bear in mind.
Yeah, not what we want at all.
So and this
Karen said to Natasha, nothing to see here, Natasha, no shenanigans, no discounts, nothing to see here, go and have a cream tea. I mean, is it a bit early in the day for a cream tea?
it's never too early.
No, it's not, is it? Especially when you're on holiday.
Yes, exactly.
Maya is threatening Natasha with her P45 if she doesn't go away. I mean, it's almost like she owns the place and thinks she can do what she likes, isn't it?
There we go. So there's the two.
There we go.
But the question is, did she watch all week, or is it just because
She's
I'm
popped-
here?
No, she has popped in each morning, earlier than this, to be honest. She's
Oh,
popped
okay.
in first thing every day and sort of gone, you know, oh, looking good, ladies. And basically just making sure it had all gone live, I think, and that we hadn't,
Yes,
you
you've
know,
not
slept
burnt the
in
place down.
or broken something or whatever. But she's actually left us for a while today. She clearly thinks that we're in safe hands because you're here. Yes.
She has met me though. I did say when she asked me, I said, "Are you sure you trust me?"
Always.
That's
She
pretty much
trusts
what
us
she said.
implicitly.
But we couldn't believe it's quite so long since the last visit. It's just
No.
everything gets so busy.
It really does. And next time we see you, of course, we'll be in our new premises.
I know.
We will. We're going to have to schedule that in.
Yes.
I think it's important. Even if it's, you know, for a while ahead, we just need to know that we've got it in the diary, I think.
Well,
Because otherwise
next
time does fly.
spring, early summer, my next book comes out. So
Yes, so you need to tell us about your previous book and about next book, all of this sort of thing. I want to know everything.
Well,
No, there we go. Just tell us everything. We've got 2 days.
where shall we start? Okay, my first book is called Sarah Payne's Quilt School.
Which is why I couldn't say the title earlier when I
Yes.
was introducing you and keeping you a little secret.
Because I kind of figured, we were trying to come up with a name for the book, and I was going to call it Quilt School, and my publisher said, well, why don't you put your name in the title, because then it's easy to find.
Yeah.
And I did umar about it because it felt a little bit sort of egocentric to
No.
to name yourself after, name it after yourself.
No, I think it's perfect.
But that came out in 2019.
Is it 2 years,
And
really?
it did win a British Sewing Award.
It did. It did.
It did. Highly commended in favourite sewing book of 2019-2020. So that was rather marvellous. I've got a certificate up on my wall.
Oh,
So-
you see, and then we all get to be proud. It's amazing.
So, and then, so we launched it over here. It got to number 50 in all books on Amazon.
Wow.
And
That's
it was
really amazing.
It was Search Press's fastest ever selling book. And I had to go down a couple of weeks later because I signed, on launch day, I signed 2,000 copies. And then they called me down.
Really?
Yeah, they all went on the first day.
No.
So they called me back down and said, could you come back and sign like another 1,000? And that's really hard to, I could do, if I'm quick.
Yeah.
The first time I signed the second page, the second lot I signed the first page because
Yeah.
it's much quicker to find.
Yeah.
But I could do 200 an hour with a Sharpie.
Wow.
But I went down and the guy from the warehouse came in and he said, I've just come to look at you. I said, why? He said, because you've got no idea what my Monday morning was like when I came in
Yeah.
after launch. Because they,
Who is this Sarah Payne woman? Who is she?
why have we all of a sudden got 2,000 book orders to go out?
The poor chap, he's probably there going, she is a pain. She is a pain. I've had to pack so many of her books. Bless him.
Yeah, they said they had to call everybody from the rest of the building down to pack them.
Brilliant.
So, and nobody else's book went out that day. It was mental, and I was absolutely thrilled.
Yeah, of course.
But
Rightly so.
it's been reprinted once. It was also the quickest. I think we had to order a reprint within 4 weeks of launch.
Amazing.
They'd all sold out. And then I got to travel in America later that year, 2019, with it. I think it was 26 days in an RV travelling around the US.
Oh, well, that's really suited you then, didn't it?
So that's where I got the bug.
Look at this.
So there we go. There's our centre block done. I'm just going to give it a
Switch
quick.
to front. We'll have a look from there as well. Look at
There we
that.
go.
I love the jauntiness.
Yes, I
Of
like
the
to put
angles.
things on an angle, especially if
Yes.
you're a little unsure about quilting. It really helps a jaunty angle because it hides a multitude of sins, and we like that very much.
Well, also, it's really effective without being horrendously complicated,
Yes.
isn't it? You know.
Yeah. And we've just used a couple of rulers, and as I said, with marking these out, you do need rulers to cut them, but if you want to mark those twists, you can do it with a piece of paper, just to make that much easier. But yes,
Fabulous.
I'm doing a second book, which has been held up for obvious reasons. It was
Yeah.
supposed to be out months ago,
Yeah.
and we've only just managed to finish photography because
Oh.
it got cancelled. Photography was supposed to be in October last year, and it got cancelled 4 times. And once we
crikey.
got halfway through a week, and I had to come home because the
Oh.
photographer's daughter got the big C, COVID.
Oh.
And we all had to come home again. So that's now due. I think it's May next year because
Yeah.
it takes a long time.
Yeah.
It takes a long time. We haven't. All the pictures are done. All the pictures are in, and then it goes off to various people for proofreading and testing, and they've all got to. So yeah,
There's a lot that goes into it, isn't there?
it
An
is.
awful
And
lot.
this one is called Sarah Payne's Applique or Applique School.
Yeah.
So it's
Amazing.
so that
Ah.
technically means I've got a series of books.
Yes.
2.
Yes.
2 qualifies
yes,
as a series.
Yes. Yes, it
There
does.
we go.
And like we say, once you've started, then it just keeps
Yeah.
going, doesn't it?
Yeah, so I've got
Working
to
on the
start
next
thinking
one
about
after
the
that.
next
Yeah.
one.
Good girl. This is what we like to hear.
I'm part way through designing my next range of fabrics as well.
Oh,
I'm
brilliant.
frantically painting in the evenings.
Well, yes, because we had those beautiful Birds of Paradise fabrics, didn't we?
Yes.
Earlier this year, and we've got them on the website still now.
So I'm just going to take a swig of my drink.
Well, why not? I'm glad we had fruit tea in the end because that's not offensive cold, is
no,
it?
it's fine. It's fine. Neither's black coffee, actually.
No.
Right, so now I'm not going to do all the blocks, but I am going to do the flying geese. Okay, so I'm going to take a square of fabric for the flying geese.
And we do have your book on the website actually as well, and everyone can buy that and get it sent direct out from the publisher.
There you go. Hang on. I don't want to do that one because I've just done a board. Let's do a different one. No, I've used that one as well.
So when it says Quilt School, this book then will start someone off in
Yes.
their patchwork and quilting journey, won't it? It's not something that you need to have.
It's actually separated
Skillful.
into chapters.
Yeah.
And we start off very basically with squares. So squares,
Perfect.
then triangles,
Yep.
and then curves.
Yeah.
And in each one, at the beginning, I show you technique. So,
Yeah.
for example, when we do the flying geese, which we're doing in a minute, I show you, I think it's 3 methods for flying geese.
Great.
And you can choose which method
Yeah.
you want to do. And then in each pattern, because different methods use different measurements, it will say, if you use method 1,
Yeah.
this is what you need to cut. If you use method
okay.
2, this is what you need to cut.
Perfect.
But also what was really important to me was I love to get people started and then see them
Yes.
go on. So
Yes.
for me, it's about building skills.
Well,
so
that's the mark of a good teacher.
I
No, but it is. It is.
but I want you to, I don't just want you to make that pattern once from the book. It's not that kind of book.
No.
So for example, with the flying geese, it shows you the math that you would need if you want to do one that's 2x4 or 3x6 or 4x8, you know, so that you
Yeah.
can work it out for yourself, so you can upscale that
Yeah.
pattern. If there's a 6-inch block in there, or you've
Yeah.
got a 6-inch block and you want to make it bigger, how do you do that? What's the maths?
Yeah.
So that's all really important to me. So that's in there as well. And on each section, as I said, there's a section at the beginning that talks about technique. Because there's loads of ways to do everything. You know, there always is.
Absolutely, and the reason that there's all these different methods and that no one's sort of gone, right, well, this is the best one and that's what everyone's going to do is because everyone's different, aren't they?
And the
all
patterns are
like something
different. And
yeah.
sometimes it's like a quilt that I did recently. Oh, actually, I think it's the bear paw, the one that you've
yeah,
got.
yeah.
You need to make 16 half square triangles all the same.
Yeah.
So rather than doing them individually, that is one of the options in that pattern. But also I show you a method for doing 8 at a time.
Yes. Amazing.
Because there are times where you want to do 8 at a time. There are times where you just want to do 1 because you've got a pattern and you only need 1 of each colour. This one will actually be making 4 at the same time because
Brilliant.
we need
Quick count,
quite
quick
a lot.
count, quick count.
We need 6 sets of 4. So, you know, it's just all of a sudden that just makes it easier. So I'm all for easy and I'm all for quick.
Yeah.
Because for me, it's about the making. I enjoy the process and I enjoy the quilting. Cutting, I do the cutting, but if I can find ways to cut quicker
Yeah.
and do slightly less of it,
Yes.
then I'm up
It's not
for
the
that.
fun bit, is it?
Sorry?
It's not the fun bit.
No, no.
But
So,
it's
hang
great
on, I'm
that
just-
you've armed everyone with sort of, you know, different tools in their box, really. You know, if they've got different ways of doing things.
And there's no such thing as a right or wrong way of it's what's right for you. And I am not the quilt police. I am not here to tell you that there is only one way to do something. Let me get the 4.5 inch ruler out again. Doing small squares, 4.5 inches is so much easier. So I am doing this is going to be the sky for my flying geese. So that's why I'm
Okay.
cutting them from black fabric.
But it's not just a quilt book either, is it? There's tote bags and table runners and
It was very important
cushions
to me
and-
that you didn't feel that you had to start by making a double bed quilt.
Yeah.
There is a double bed quilt in there,
Yeah.
which actually it's in the first chapter. It's very simple. It's a turned 9 patch, which I made from fabric that I bought in when I was travelling in India looking at quilts. I go everywhere looking at quilts.
Yeah.
But I was looking at quilts over there and I bought this gorgeous fabric that was just too good to cut up small because it's beautiful. So there is one quilt in there, but you start off with a bag.
Yeah.
And then, you know, there's cushions in there. And then I think there's a couple of cushions, but they've got different finishes on the back. So you learn different techniques. You're learning different skills. as you go along. One of the cushions got an envelope, the other one's got a zip in it, so if you've never done zips before.
Nice.
And there are table runners, placemats, there's hand sewing, machine sewing.
Lovely.
I think there's, I want to say 20 projects.
No,
But
amazing.
it might be 15. There's quite a lot in there anyway. I know there was a lot of sewing. Right, so what I'm going to do now is I have cut one square. This is the body of the flying geese, and these are the backgrounds. And then I have cut 4 backgrounds, and then I'm just going to mark a diagonal line across the back from one side to another. Now, I think pretty much everyone knows this method now, but if you don't, it's a great way of making 4 at the same time. And you don't need a special ruler for it, you just need your square ruler. Oh, right. So what I'm going to do is, this is the back of the black fabric. Actually, the fabric that I've given you is the same on both sides, but I'm going to lay one piece.
Yep.
Here, and I'm going to get my pins, because I can't clip these, so pins are useful.
Yep, sometimes a pin is what you need, isn't it?
Yes, exactly. And then I'm going to take the other triangle, the other square, and place it in the other corner and pin. And you see it overlaps in the middle. You see that there? Actually, if I hold that up, it's a bit tricky to see because we've got black. But you see it overlaps in the middle and the diagonal line goes all the way across. You can, if you want to, pin them first and then mark the diagonal line. But I tend to find then that my pins get in the way. So what we're going to do now is we're going to sew either side of that drawn line, 1/4 inch.
This is such a time-saving method, isn't it?
Sorry?
Such a time-saving method.
Oh yeah, because
Phenomenal.
the weird thing is, because you make all 4 at a time, it feels so much faster.
Yeah.
Even though it's probably only, I don't know, twice as fast, it feels like it's 4 times as fast, because all of a sudden I've done a few lines of sewing and I've got 4 of them. It's quite exciting.
We're easily pleased, aren't we?
Yes.
But it you know, when you think, oh, I just want to get on with the construction of this and I've got to make lots and lots and lots of these, anything that speeds that up a little bit is just fabulous.
So there we go. I've used white thread, and then we're going to cut up either with your rotary cutter or with a pair of scissors, cut along that drawn line. All right. So now I'm just going to finger press that open, because finger press is adequate right now. With both of those, and this is all covered with all of the measurements in the pattern. And then I'm going to take this other corner here and pin that. Again, this line always needs to point into the middle, from the corner into the centre.
This is the method that Jane taught me, and the first ones I did, I was like, what is going on? What am I making? What
It
am I
is
making?
weird
How
though,
is this
isn't it?
turning out? And then suddenly, you
just
did that press, and I went, oh, look!
It's like, who thought of this? So again, we've got the little mountain at the top here. I think of these as mountains, and then there's a little hillock in your valley.
Yeah, that's right.
There you go. So now we're going to sew, and 1/4 inch should be here. Hang on. Oh.
I know,
Just
the left, right, up, down thing, I tell you, I'm the worst at this. The
There we
close-up
go.
camera, you're doing a much better job than me.
So just there,
There we are.
that'll be 1/4 inch if
Yes.
you've lined everything up correctly. So just going to push that flat.
Brilliant.
Yeah, it's like somebody thought this up, and that's just genius. And I must admit, the first few times I did it, I had to, when I was learning, I had to go back and do it a few times or look it up again. But when I was learning, we didn't have, YouTube or Facebook groups or anything
No,
like that.
exactly. There's so much available now, isn't there? And
There is.
Just like earlier when I said about being around creative people, that's been the beautiful thing with Natasha Makes is, you know, I was locked in for months and months and months last year with being, you know, having a problem with my immune system and being vulnerable. But I felt like I was amongst friends because, you know, 3 mornings a week I was up and I was watching the show and I was engaging with other people. But it was inspiring me to have a go as well, you know, and that's just so important, isn't it?
It is, and it's just a friendly thing to do.
Yeah.
So I've just cut down that line
There we go.
between the 2 pieces again, and you see when I open that up, there you go, set of flying geese.
Ta-da!
And another set of flying geese. And when I do this 4th one,
And we're not throwing bits away, you know, we've got...
There is no
units
waste
there.
using this method. There are methods
Great.
where you put a square on top of your rectangle and then you have to chop the corners off. And I don't really... Oh, I need to tuck that back first. I'm just going to go to the iron. That doesn't
Go
want
to
to
the
stay
iron.
flat. Go
Let's
to
do
the
that.
iron.
Let's be good. We've got some comments here as well. So please call the next book In a Field Near You. You could do
I could.
mobile quilting type projects. Laverne says, I want to make a space-themed quilt. I've bought the fabric, just not too sure where to start. Ideas.
Now, something like that, if the pattern is the king,
Yeah, it's for her
I would
grandson.
go for a turned 9 patch, because what you're doing is you're keeping, with a turned 9 patch, I don't know if you've ever seen one, it's a 9 patch, and you sew your 9 patch together, you cut into 4, and then you rotate 2 of those pieces.
Nice.
So when you're sewing it together, if you've got directional fabric like space, you decide before you start which ones you're going to turn, and you sew them upside down.
Right, okay.
So if you always do bottom left and top right, you would sew right way up, upside down.
Okay.
And the opposite that way. And that means that when you turn those, you turn them and they're suddenly facing the right way up. But when you cut them, you end up with those corners are nice and big still. So if you've got your feature fabrics there, but the centre block, which you usually go for a plain or a repeating colour, then becomes 2 narrow rectangles with a tiny square in the corner. And it looks like your block now, it looks like you've pieced those pieces together, but you haven't. You've just gone with a 9 patch.
That's clever.
It's my go-to pattern when somebody says to me, you know, can you make me something, so-and-so's having a baby, because it goes together really quickly, but it looks really effective. And when you've got a feature fabric that you really want to see and you don't want to chop up, you know, if you've got your big K-facet florals or your Tula pink designs.
Or rockets and aliens.
And the thing is, all it needs to be is squares. So you could do those squares 3 inches square. You could do them 10 inches square.
Yeah.
I've done it with a layer cake. I did that with the
Amazing.
layer cake of my own fabric. So we've got some of them are 10-inch squares, and then other bits are cut smaller because you chop them in half. So whoever that was, I would suggest that's a good place to start.
Yeah. Brilliant.
Right. So we just chop this up, and that is our...
Although we do have opinion here that this would be a good one because a spaceship could be in the centre block and it looks like it's going into a black hole.
Ooh.
Which would be quite cool, wouldn't
That
it?
would be awesome,
Yeah.
wouldn't it?
So this works too.
Actually, I do a block of the month as well, and I have a Facebook group for it. And I think it was Leslie posted a picture the other day of her block, and she'd put a fabric that has got 2 parrots right in the centre of this block, and it just looks awesome because she's just placed it exactly. So you've got these 2 little parrots sitting next to each other.
You've got to love
and
some
you
perfect
cannot
placement,
help
haven't you?
but smile.
Yeah. Well, this is the thing with the plique. You saying about your next book being a plique. I love a bit of a plique because you can fussy cut and add detail in, and it's just so. You know,
and I'm not
that your
supposed
piece
to
is
tell
gonna...
people what's in it, but there's an awesome parrot cushion.
Love that.
Yes.
You heard it here first.
Yes, brightly coloured
Aw.
baby. I think I called him Pesky Parrot, or it might be Perky. I think I wanted to call him Pesky, and they said you should call him Perky.
Well,
So Perky Parrot.
He's probably
all
both.
bright colours in the middle of this cushion, and I just love him.
gorgeous.
And I've made a cat applique cushion as well, because I can't take my cats with me in my camper van.
No, okay.
So I did an appliqued cat pillow.
I have seen people on a campsite with cats on a lead. Like,
Oh, I can just see my Captain Jack.
really, can you imagine how well he'd tolerate that?
Yeah, I'd put a lead on him and he'd go, really?
I think not,
What?
Mother. If you could catch him and put it on him in the first place, if he'd let you. Partway through putting it on, he'd probably say, no harness on me. Thank you very much.
How very dare you?
Patricia is overexcited. She says, the stuff I ordered Monday has arrived.
Ooh.
My sister is almost jumping with excitement. Going to use the half metre heavens to make yin yang bags. Reckon we'll get a lovely bag out of a half metre heaven with little waste. I love a bit of fabric mail.
Yeah, definitely.
Isn't it exciting
Happy
when it arrives?
post,
And
we
it's
call
here for
it.
the weekend. How lovely. How
See,
lovely.
we're quite lucky in our job because, you know, most post is happy post.
Well, quite.
Well, when I have shows, usually, I haven't got shows this weekend because I'm away, but when I do, they usually arrive on Thursday for a show on Sunday, which isn't ideal. But there's still that moment when I open the box and I'm like, oh, what's in the box? What's in the box?
Yeah, it's that moment when a big parcel arrives and you think, I have no idea what I've ordered. None at all. Happens too often. Not good.
Right, so I'm going to very quickly show you the log cabin now. So we've actually done, if we just come back to this one behind, we've done that centre here and we've done all of these borders. So you'll do what I've just done, only 6 times.
Well, and where the flying geese meet, it's just a half square triangle, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a half, and the measurements for the half square triangle are in the pattern.
Of course.
And you can do it either using your right angle triangle or using the square method. Both of them are in there, and the measurements for both are in there as well. And then obviously we've got the log cabin around here. So this is when you get to the end and you have used up all your fabrics and you're left with a pile, a pile of bits, you know, bits like this. Don't throw them away. So if I just go to the last section, because the next one is half square triangles. So you can see in there is the half square triangle patterns there, how to do them.
Go overhead and have a little peep.
And I'm just trying to remember how. So 2-inch squares.
Are you counting? Can I see you pointing and counting?
I've just remembered something. If you get...
Do as I say, not as I do.
No,
is it?
this happens occasionally when there's a mistake. And you've all had all your patterns printed and you send them out and somebody goes, no, that's not quite right. And you go, oops, and, you know, deal with it. But then you can't reprint.
Yeah.
So this actually goes to show what happens when maths goes wrong. Because if you look at those squares and you count them around the edges, there are 20 of them.
Yeah.
In my pattern, it says make 24. Ignore that. And that's because I went, oh yeah, 6. There's 6 along there.
And you've done 6 times 4 sides,
There's
but
times
it's
4
not.
times,
no.
but it's not.
Because you've got 2
So-
rows of 6 and then the 4 on either side. I see it.
Exactly. So
Have you got enough fabric to make 24?
Oh, plenty.
Well,
yeah.
there you go.
And
So
because
those
I did
extra-
actually make 24.
Those extra 4 log cabins,
Yes, you
they could be used
put
for a
them together
cushion.
as a 4 patch.
Little
But
cushion.
that's just a note. These things do happen, and for that I apologise. And I'd forgotten about that until I just looked at it because I did this back in February.
Yes.
And
Well,
I've
you
slept
know
since
what?
then.
Your 24 log cabins that you make, there's probably going to be 20 of them that you prefer and 4 that you
Yes.
go,
Or you just you go, oh, I've got to make 24, and you get to 20, you go, I'm bored now.
yeah, I'm bored.
And there you are, you're
I've
all
had
right.
enough. You're right.
So I need some squares for the middle. So this, what you can do with this is you can chain piece them if you wish, because chain piecing is a great way of doing log cabin. It's really quick. So let me just cut some centre squares. Right, so
Myra says she can't wait for the book, Sarah.
thank
The new one, I
you.
presume, your applique one.
Yes, the thing is, it's just we've worked really hard to try and get it out, but there's just, you know, you can't fight these things.
Laverne's thanked us for the suggestions for the space quilt.
Oh, good.
And Auntie Lizzie says, better to have too many log cabins than too few. She's
I
right.
know.
She is right.
It was just somebody went, Sarah, can you count? I was like, obviously
no,
not.
No, I can't. Jane frequently tells us all that she can't count.
Yes.
Or she can't tell her left from her right is the other one.
Oh, okay.
So I'll proofread her instructions and I'll go, hang on, Jane, you say bottom left to top right, but surely it's top left to bottom right. And she goes, oh.
I could actually just blame my proofreader because she didn't notice either.
There you go then. Absolutely. We don't know. Not
Fired.
always. Not
Fired.
always.
Get out.
I always feel more responsible if I miss it. As a proofreader, I feel more responsible.
Oh, I had a nightmare with one of my patterns a while ago now, because I bought the fabric in meters, but I was doing fat quarters, so I bought the fabric pre-cut as well, and I did the quilt. And when I demonstrate as well, I make it 3 times. So I make it once to design it, once to test the pattern, and once as a demonstration.
Yes.
And I made it, and I sent the pattern out, and then somebody went, "I've not got enough fabric."
Oh.
And I was going, what are you talking about? She said, I'm half an inch short on one of the fabrics. And I was going, no, I've made it 3 times and it's been fine. And then a couple of other people went, no, it's short. And it turned out that the fat quarters that I bought pre-cut were based on a yard.
Rather than metre.
Rather than a metre. I cut my fabric and used those metre pieces and cut it into 4. So I've learnt my lesson now. I pay a bit more attention.
You do though, don't you? You get these lovely pre-cuts and you think, well, I won't use those. I'll do it with scrap fabric or whatever else.
But it's an inch and a half difference.
Yeah.
So, you do have to think about these things. I'm just trying
to
find out how big my strips.
It is easy done, says Susan.
Yes.
These things are easy done. We make the mistakes so that hopefully you don't have to, ladies and gentlemen. That's exactly what we do, isn't it? We frequently say this.
Yes. Do as I do. Do as I say. See, I can't even get that right.
No. Well, your brain's gone into holiday mode. It's not long now till you'll be sat in a field, just you and your lovely camper van.
So if you are going to be in Suffolk in a field in Ipswich tonight and you see a short, stressed woman trying to put up her awning on an orange camper van all by herself.
Oh, to be fair, awning, I was going to say awning erection, but perhaps we won't use that word.
No, you'll be in trouble with...
There's lots of naughty. But it is tricky to put... I was going to say, it's tricky. No, let's think this. It's very tricky to put an awning up on your own.
Yes,
there we go.
It is.
There we go.
It is indeed.
I'm not giving them any opportunity. I think Lo and Elizabeth are on, and we can't trust either of them. You have to throw them something that's vaguely naughty, and they run with it. They run with it.
So what I'm going to do is, with the patterns, with the log cabins, you'll see I've done 2 colours the same. All right, so each time there's 2 colours, just to give it some sort of uniformity, because this fabric is quite busy. So what I'm going to do is, first of all, I'm going to stitch one of my squares with this fabric. So with these strips.
So, yeah, do you know, my little suggestion there of using the extra 4 log cabins to make a cushion, they like that idea.
There you go.
Sash that and, have a nice cushion that matches
Or when you look at it, you go, oh, that's the bit Sarah was talking about.
Yeah. Or you stitch them together and sash them with some black and make a little tote bag or something.
Yes, to put your quilt into.
Yeah, exactly.
So I've just done one piece there and I finger pressed it back. I tend to use finger pressing quite a bit when it's something quite simple. I say finger pressing, I'm using my thumb now. So, and then we'll do the second side. And I don't want them to be the same. I mean, I don't want all of the log cabins to be the same because otherwise I will run out of a colour. So what we do is we do the first one. All right.
Fabulous.
And then each time we're rotating, but I get my next colour. And you can cut a whole pile of these. They're 1 inch wide strips, which means some of these bits left over with the black we can use as well. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to come down and I'm going to get my second square and pop it straight under.
Ah, fabulous. Anything that saves some thread, some time and,
Yeah, because you use so much thread otherwise. So what we do is I'm just going to flip that over and just cut that straight.
That's what I love about the thread cutters on these machines actually, is it saves you so much thread.
It does, it does. And I'm going to chop this piece. Now the thing is, I can get away with cutting with my scissors because they're flat, which means if I cut along there, it's going to be a straight edge. So now I'm just going to open up that one and go back to that strip of fabric. So I'm doing the second side down my first square. And the second side on my second square.
Claire says, I need to practice writing patterns because I can make a few notes on the back of a packet of painkillers and make a king-size quilt from them, knowing exactly what to do, but not everyone else would know.
Yes.
And actually writing patterns and quilting are two completely different things, aren't they?
They are.
They don't
And
necessarily
actually,
go together.
back in the old days, again, proper job, when I worked in IT, I used to write manuals.
Yeah.
So, you know, training manuals and also software manuals. So there's my first round on my second block. All right, now once we go into a log cabin, every time, once you've been round once, so stop you losing track of which bit to sew second or next, it's always where you've got two ends here. You can see you've got two seams.
Yeah.
There, you've only got one.
Okay.
And there, you've only got one.
Perfect.
And there you've got none. It's always where you've got two
Brilliant.
seams. So I'm going to get my next piece of fabric and we're going to pop that on there. And then I'm going to put that one under there. And then I'm going to put that one under there. So I'm only doing 3 at this time. But what that means is that even though I'm doing the same fabric at the same time, each block is going to be placed differently. Does that make sense?
Fabulous.
And it also, again, it's one of those things that when you get to the end, you suddenly go, oh my goodness, I've just made 3 blocks. Right, so again, I'm going to sew here. So I've got 2 seams, which means that's going to go onto here.
That's such a good reference point, Sarah. I love that.
Yes, it's very handy to know.
It really is.
And then I'm coming back to this one. Pop that straight under there. And then do the same with this one. And this is about the limit that I can get from a strip. Because they're obviously cut from fat quarters, so they're only a certain length. Right, so now I'm just going to cut these and then I'm going to go to the ironing board.
Fabulous. This is coming together so nicely. But like you say,
so,
when you sort of make, I know it beats. It has a word. It likes a chat. It's in good company, isn't it? But yeah, when you're making several in one go, you go from having no blocks to suddenly having several, and it's like, oh, here we go. This is coming.
And
really
actually,
nicely.
what you're doing then, because I'm starting one, and then I'm adding another, and then I'm adding another.
Yeah.
If we come back and have a look, you'll see. So here, you know, we've got a different layout to this one, because even though we've got the same fabric here, this one's different because it's further out. And the same with that one's got no orange on it. So you could then come in and pick another colour. So we could say, well, I'll do maybe that one.
Yeah.
But if you work your way across,
Sure.
and then once that one's done, I tend to add another on the end of this one, and then another one, and then another one, because you're just continuing that line of sewing.
Yeah.
You're just continuing down here, just adding extra ones underneath. And all you have to remember is that you're doing it in two colours on the same one.
Yeah.
So we've got 2 of the mustard and rust. And then 2 with that dark olive here. And we just keep going until we've done three rounds of the colour and then 1 round of the black.
Yeah.
So if we can have a look at the quilt behind me.
Sure. Josh has been busily working away, and he's managed to get a digital version of your pattern up now onto the website. So I am just pressing the buttons so people can download the pattern if they want to, if you prefer to have it downloaded immediately.
There you go.
There we go. Good day.
So what I've done here, obviously we've got the black in the middle. You can see I've got them in pairs, but then I've done the outer edge with a row of black, rather than, this isn't sashing, that's actually part of the block. It just makes it so much easier to put it all together.
Great.
Because then all you're doing is just literally putting those blocks together and they look like they've been bordered.
Perfect.
So it's a really simple way to finish off that quilt. And then obviously you get with your fabric bundle the extra fabric so that you can bind it. Now I haven't done it with this one, but I do it with some of my quilts, is to use some of the main fabric in the border. I didn't do it with this one because it's quite a bold, it's quite a bold quilt anyway. But what you could do is add a bit more black. Here, there's a narrow border to separate these two.
Yeah.
There's a border in there.
Yeah.
I could then put a narrow border around the outside. And then use sort of the patterned fabrics in this. Though when we did that black sashing, it does separate it a little bit. But I think it's sometimes quite nice to have a pop of colour in your binding.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I don't worry too much about where it's going to be. I don't measure it all because that would be far too organised, wouldn't it, for me. But yeah, I do like to break up a plain binding with that a little bit. And I have to say, I have this up on my wall in the studio, so I took it down last night. So there's a gap in my studio at home and it sits directly opposite me, and it's one of those ones that is just so bright and cheerful.
It is, it's lovely.
It's not, I wouldn't say it was seasonal at all, you know. It's not, because when I first saw it I thought tropical, because it's called Tropical Bohemian. I thought, is that good? You know, very summery, but it's also got those rust autumnal colours in it as well.
Gorgeous.
And then, you know,
absolutely. And in your pattern as well, you had a picture of it
with
stashed with white.
Yes.
And a completely different quilt.
A completely different quilt, yes. Very interesting. Yeah. And then if you wanted to, you know, if you're using fabric from your stash, I would say with white, I would probably go with a white tone on tone rather than a plain white. This is plain black, and that's okay. But plain white, I think, can sometimes deaden things, don't you think? But it's better with like some sort of pattern or maybe a marbled effect. Sure. Or some sort of white on white fabric would be absolutely lovely with it. Or maybe even a grey. I mean, you could bring grey into that instead. Have a nice steely grey.
Yeah, we like a grey actually, and it's been popular in our bundles as well when we've put grey in. It's very, very contemporary though, isn't it, grey at the moment?
It's quite a modern... I'm trying to find my drink again, I've lost it.
You've got two. There's 2 drinks. There's a glass as well.
All that talking.
One that I didn't smash. Oh, poor Becky says, feeling really, really rough today with a cough and a cold, but you guys have cheered me up no end.
Oh, bless you, Becky.
Thank you, Sarah, and the Makes team. Natasha should be very proud. Well, she has good friends, doesn't she?
She let us. She let me in. This isn't the first time she's let me in, so I must be doing something right.
Well, you know, she's trusted us both. Just gone off and trusted us both, just to, you know, not have everything fall apart. So it's all good. Oh dear. However, poor Helen, I'm so absorbed in your log cabin method that I almost burnt a lemon drizzle cake that I'd just made.
Oh,
we can't have
don't
that,
do
can we?
But if you burn it, my dad always used to make gone wrong cakes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that, you know, it would go wrong and we'd just have to eat it out of the tin.
Oh, do you know?
I don't know how he did it. He said he used to do something to the eggs purposely to make it go wrong. But then, you know, parents lie, don't they? He probably didn't.
Yes, they do.
It just went wrong.
It's just learning to lie really creatively being a parent, I found. Elizabeth Prangle is still saying that she thinks this pattern would be brilliant for the space-themed one. So black holes dotted around.
I think so, yes.
But you could applique some spaceships here and there as well.
You could put little monsters in the middle of each one of those, fussy cut them. And obviously you've got that centre shape there, and there's nothing to stop you, you know, I've done this plain. Obviously it doesn't have to be plain.
No.
You could even, you know, keep this as a solid square with a monster or an alien or, you know, the moon or anything in it.
We had some beautiful Liberty space fabric, just gorgeous. I'm assuming we've still got a bit around actually that would just be gorgeous for this. Really, really lovely.
I bought some glow-in-the-dark space fabric.
Oh, what's not,
not
to
used
love?
it yet.
What's not to love?
Yes, I bought half a meter. You know what it's like. I never buy fat quarters of something unless I've got a project for it, because otherwise you buy it and then a year later you go, oh, if only I had a little bit more of that.
You do. I always get a little bit extra.
Yeah.
And if nothing else, you can grab it and EPP to your heart's content with the scrappy bits, can't
because
you?
again, you've got bits left over from this.
Course.
You know, we've got these 1 inch, and I am very careful with my fabric as well, and my fabric designs.
Yeah.
With my hampers, there's usually an extra project that not only teaches you a new skill, but also uses up these little bits, because otherwise we get overwhelmed by our scrap bags.
We totally do. We do. And and then you end up using nice bits for stuffing. That's not okay. But I love the fact that your log cabin here, you can just use all those tiny scraps and just get these gorgeous blocks. Sarah, thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Amazing.
Am I on holiday now?
Do you know, 10 minutes, I reckon, we can get you out the door and on holiday. Off you'll go to be in your camper van in a field. Natasha, however, will be coming back from holiday this weekend, and all normal service will resume next week. She is with us on Monday with a bag make, I think. But I do know for certain, because I've set it all up on the system, that we have another Lewis and Irene launch. A very bright and colourful Lewis and Irene launch. So, yeah, don't miss that. Make sure you're with us. Yeah, that'll be Monday.
I'll be watching.
Yeah.
I sit in my studio at work and I have my laptop on and I watch it. So often when I'm making samples, I'm watching you guys.
Yeah, it's great though, isn't it? And again,
sometimes you know I'm there.
Yeah,
sometimes you don't.
Sometimes we don't. But it's nice, isn't it? Because then we just all feel like we've seen each other.
Yes.
Because, you know, you
It's like,
communicate
that's
through
my
the
friends
internet.
on my screen.
Aw. Yay, happy holiday, says Elizabeth Crangle. Yes, I think yay, happy holiday is the way.
I think there may be a few camper van projects in my future. I need some camper van themed items for Myrtle.
So lots of things. In fact, the tissue boxes behind you on the top shelf.
Yes, I saw you making those.
Now the reason I made the prototype was because I wanted to make one with the fox fabric for the camper van, for the caravan, I should say, because modern tissue boxes don't go well in a retro vintagey caravan.
No, and also stuff rolls around. If you make stuff with fabric, it tends to stick a little better.
It does.
So when you go round corners a little too swift, which doesn't happen to me, obviously.
But I've made an iPad stand, one of Natasha's iPad stands that have the buckwheat, and I've made one of those in vintage fabrics as well. Because again, you'll want to, have that standing up for your quilting things.
I'm making Myrtle's curtains.
Yes.
With the Birds of Paradise fabric.
Oh,
in
and
that bundle
beautiful.
That you've got on the website, the red one.
Yeah.
The red cherry blossom.
Wow.
That's going on the inside. And then there's the turquoise, which has got all the white leaf detail on it, which took me ages to... I actually drew them, would you believe it?
Incredible.
But I drew all of those,
lady.
and that's going on the outside because that's going to look amazing next to the orange.
Yeah,
so I'm going to have it two-lined.
Oh, I hope you post pictures, Sarah, because you are on social media and we do get to see these things. But,
yes, you can find me on Sarah Payne Quilter. I will post the pictures when I'm set up tonight if I've got Wi-Fi.
Yes.
But I forgot to take a quilt with me last time.
Oh.
And there were a few comments going, where's the quilts?
Yeah.
And it's like...
Pack more considerately. We have expectations of you, Sarah.
Yes. So you'll see me on Saturday night dressed as a pirate, wrapped in a quilt.
I mean, standard Saturday night behaviour.
Exactly. I was supposed to be dressed as a pirate with my niece, but she's poorly now and can't come. So I should just be wandering around without my parrot.
No. Oh, bless you. Well, you'll have a wonderful time. It has been lovely to have you. Please don't leave it quite so long next time. Because we do miss you when you're not here. And yes, to all of you at home, enjoy the naughtinesses that are the wonderful deals that are on the Friday newsletter. Keep your eyes peeled. Those deals are going to be very short-lived, and then they will be pulled like a carpet from underneath you. So yes, grab them while you can. Have a lovely, lovely weekend. Natasha will be back on Monday. And thank you for joining us all week. It's been lovely to see you. Give everyone a wave, Sarah.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.